Good afternoon and welcome back to the channel. I have two books to discuss with you today. One you're going to recognize from a previous video, and then this is the new one. So we'll start with the old one. I had made this as a travel journal for a trip that I just got back from to the Galapagos. And I've had several travel journals comments where people said, well, I'd like to see that somebody actually uses them. So here it is. I actually do use it. The front pocket has some business cards of people that I met and wanted to correspond with, and a little brochure from the travel company. I did write in it every day. This is where we stayed. These are some different items that I cut out. This was actually a little fortune thing that I got on the trip. And, you know, this was a little note card that I had as part of the ephemera that I just stuck in there. I used washi tape and made a pocket on the trip and put more ephemera from the trip. And made a little flip here with a brochure from the waterfall that we visited. And it actually opens up where you can read about the waterfall and the wildlife and things that we saw. I have some photos that I'm going to add, but I haven't added those in yet. But I did want you to see that I do actually use it. I carry with me a little pencil box that has some colored pencils in it in case I want to sketch something, a couple of different writing instruments, different kinds of pens, usually like a gel pen or a Pilot precision point, because my handwriting is so small I have to have something with a very small nib. And then it has washi tape in it, a glue stick, a little pair of scissors so that I can cut things out. So I do actually use these, and I wanted you to see that and hope that inspires you. This is a travel journal I've just completed for an upcoming trip to Scotland. It is bound like the Scholar's Ledger. So if you take away all the frou-frou gewgaw on the front, you can see it's got a spine cover, hardboard covers that are covered with paper. This is actually from Nik the Booksmith, but it's just kind of zhuzhed up. And so what I did is on the spine I used that same polyester fabric that's a faux embossed suede. And then I played around with a bunch of different things to determine how to make the front. And I just kind of wanted to show you. These are little items from Butterbee Scraps. And they have all sorts of metallic elements that you can play with. You can stack up in different ways to make all sorts of, you know, different embellishments. And that's all I did is I kept stacking things till I got a pleasing array of things that I wanted. And then I used, because some of these, like this one, doesn't have a hole in the middle. Some of them do. But I just used my crocodile and poked a hole through all of it and held it together for the glue to dry with one of these spare parts Paper Studio things with a little clip. And that's what that is. Now, because these were all different colors of metal, I wanted them to kind of all blend in together. Oh, these are little corner pieces that I just put up together. And they have other kinds of corner pieces like that. Wanted to show you. But I used these different waxes, different colors. I have 4 colors of them. I used all 4 colors on here. It was a little green, little gold, little silver, little blue. But just kind of put a little bit of color on all of them to kind of blend them in. The background piece here is from the kit that I used. She has what should be spine pieces if you're making a different kind of cover. Cover pieces in papers. This is, for instance, one of the covers that I played around with possibly using. I cut off the piece here and was just kind of playing around with it, but then decided I wanted to use this piece. And you can see it's a different color because I took some of the Tim Holtz Distress Stains and colored it up so that it was a more blending problem with this background paper. This fabric is polyester and it has little ridges in the back, and it makes it very hard sometimes to get a perfectly straight line. And I was having a little difficulty with that, so I decided to fudge and put this decoration here to kind of even it out. And what that is it's called Dresden trims. And they're just paper trims. There's different ones that you can buy. I get mine at Amazon, different widths. And you can just put that on there. Now you can see how bright gold these are. Once again, I put a little wax on there to kind of tone that down. So this is, like I said, I'm going to Scotland. I'm going to see a lot of old castles and things like that. So I picked out pieces of several kits from Medieval Mirage and put them together to form this little journal. This is the name of the trip that I'm taking in August. But I added my tea stain papers with a little stenciling. This is part of the kit. It has these tags that have, this is already created for you, the little pockets, and you can just add things in here. And I just put all sorts of things in here that I thought I might use to hold things on or whatever. The only things that are not part of the kit I'll point out, these little ladies, there's several of them. They're called Shakespearean Women from the Graphics Fairy, and I just thought they blended in real well, and so I threw them in there. Some of the pages I gilded. It's that faux gilding that you get at Michael's. You put down a glue that gets tacky as it dries, and then you put the fake foil on there and then brush off the excess. And I didn't try to be really completely neat because it's supposed to look old. You can see here it's a 5-hole pamphlet stitch that I used to bind. And this isn't just one kit. I own 3 or 4 kits from Medieval Mirage, and I just picked out the ones that had the pieces in it that I happen to like. This is from Pinterest. It's Lady and Unicorn, just because I like unicorns. I used this little booklet piece that they had, and just have things in here. This will hold like little tickets or whatever when I go to museums. And I thought that would be a good little addition. There are some pieces of my own marble paper in here. This is one. I used some of the ephemera to make the little closures for the envelopes. In my previous travel journal, I had a bunch of envelopes, and what I used them for was at the end of the trip, I put an extra tip and a little note to several of the crew members that were especially nice to us, and so I actually used the envelopes for that purpose. And I figured, well, I probably needed to put 3 or 4 in here for the same thing on this trip. There's always that person on a tour that just kind of goes above and beyond, and I like to reward good service. So this is 3 pieces of the ephemera, and I just used them to create these little pockets by gluing them first together, leaving this little piece right here unglued for that pocket, and then gluing along the edges for the big pocket. Here's another one of those Shakespearean ladies. The stenciling that I did in here, I didn't use a whole stencil. I used pieces of stencils that had something that I particularly liked associated with it. You know, it looked medieval, it looked castle-y, whatever. And so there's not like an entire stencil. This was just kind of a central medallion of one stencil, as is this. So when you're looking at your stencils, look at them for, you know, the various pieces as well. See, like, that's just a part of the stencil, as well as the entire stencil, because even though the whole stencil may not go with your theme, a piece of it might be just perfect. This is part of a Tim Holtz. I recognize that one. I don't know what the other stencils are. Here's a little flip, another one of the tag structures that's already created with the pockets, little folders, and just items I thought I might use to create some sort of little tuck spot or something later on. Well, a small envelope, left this open, just possibly stick something in there. But I really think these kits, there's 4 or 5 of them that just blend so beautifully together. One's called Missives and Scribe and Medieval Women. Monuments, I think, is the one with all the castles on it. Here I just used one of the Shakespearean ladies as the closure on that one. Once again, some of my marble paper. And there she is. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that, and I hope that you're inspired to make a travel journal for your next adventure and actually use it, and think of ways that you can use the provided ephemera, like I'm using the envelopes and little note cards for thank yous and all to the crew. But you know, you can maybe write letters home, whatever, and then save yourself plenty of space to add your own ephemera from the trip as you go along. Have a wonderful day. See you later.